When it comes to certain comic book characters, everyone has a run that they consider definitive. For the likes of Batman, Scott Snyder's run is the Batman run for me. Sure, I've read other runs that do certain things, maybe all things, better than Scott Snyder has, but that's the run that struck with me. That's the run that I came into the Batman universe in the comic books, and that's the one I consider to be my definitive version of Batman. And Daredevil is very much the same way. While I've read pretty much a lot of the big runs on Daredevil, from Frank Miller to Mark Waid to Charles Soule, it really is Brian Michael Bendis' run that most resonates with me personally. This run is so fucking good. I consider it to be the definitive Daredevil run of all time. Yes, even more so than Frank Miller's, though I suspect a lot of people will tell me that is absolute sacrilege and heresy, and probably for good reason. But at this point, you should probably know that I'm just a guy who thinks what I think, and I'm not going to change on that. And I'm not going to go through the entire Bendis run, because this is a big, multi-year long beast. Rather, I'm going to give you one storyline recommendation and a general overview of the whole thing and why I think it ultimately works. See, the appeal of Bendis' Daredevil for me is that he plays around with absolutely every facet of Matt Murdock's character. And the things that I find personally so interesting about the character of Matt Murdock are the various hypocrisies and contradictions endemic to the very character's existence. He is a blind man, but instead of being a cripple, so to speak, he is a superhero who can beat the shit out of you better than most fully functional martial artists. He is a lawyer, an official representative of the law, and yet he's also a masked vigilante that goes around beating the crap out of people. He's a devout Catholic who genuinely believes in the Ten Commandments and everything that they represent, but he's also a guy who'll screw anything with a nice pair of tits, which is basically all of his girlfriends, and he'll also mercilessly, as I already said, beat the crap out of people. And these various hypocrisies and contradictions are present throughout the entire Brian Michael Bendis run, as we see Matt Murdock deal with the fact that his identity is all but revealed to the public. He begins a relationship with another blind woman who is a far cry from the vast majority of his other girlfriends with their own colorful backgrounds and histories, and see how he circumnavigates this intense mess of circumstances and events completely beyond his control and also simultaneously absolutely his own fault. We get to see enthralling courtroom drama, we get to see cool superhero action, we even get to see his faith-based antics get put to the test. And Brian Michael Bendis also plays around with the entire Daredevil corner of the Marvel Universe. This is a dude who remembers that Black Widow and Matt Murdock used to be a really big thing during the 70s and even 80s. This is a dude who does some actually cool stuff with Elektra, with his new girlfriend Nina, who puts Karen Page's death into a whole new light that you probably wouldn't have ever considered beforehand. And his run is so definitive that a lot of people have said, for very good reason, that Daredevil should have been put in basic retirement for a few years and then come back only after a sabbatical, which I absolutely agree with. And I also think that this run is so definitive that a lot of the other stuff that's come after it just does not hold a candle to it whatsoever. This is so fucking good that I consider it to be pretty much the ending of Daredevil, as bleak as that might seem for those of you who know what happens at the end of the run. But now that I've explained why I like this run so much, I'm going to give you that story recommendation, which is Trial of the Century, a short 3-issue kind of interlude storyline in between the bigger events that serves, in my opinion, the perfect encapsulation of the entire run in a very condensed format. It is also basically the only thing in this entire run that's not drawn by Alex Maleev, which is kind of a shame because Alex Maleev is absolutely fucking stellar throughout this entire run. But what is the premise of Trial of the Century that I would call it the perfect encapsulation of Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil? Well, during a routine shoplifting out of any generic movie or TV show, a couple thugs are breaking into a store, trying to get a TV, a PlayStation 2, it was the mid-2000s after all, when a cop tries to stop them and he is inadvertently shot by one of the thugs. Certainly shocking, but nothing out of the ordinary. However, things get vastly more complicated when the White Tiger, Hector Ayala, a supposedly retired superhero, comes out of retirement out of the blue this specific night, tries to stop the shoplifters, and in the end gets blamed for the death of the cop. To say a media shitstorm follows would be a vast understatement. This is the kind of stuff headlines are made out of. This is the kind of stuff that gives J. Jonah Jameson a hard dick of 10 inches length in the morning. And man, does it perfectly display just how much of an ungrateful cabal of shitbags the Marvel Universe citizens actually are when they actually descend on this poor superhero. For a bit of context, right before this, Daredevil was basically publicly ousted, and on the urging of Luke Cage and Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, he is convinced to be the representative of Hector Ayala, despite the fact that he is basically known to be a superhero himself at this point, and he's involved in a big lawsuit where he is suing other people for lying about him being a superhero. So this creates a lot of interpersonal drama, not just for Matt Murdock, but also puts him into another big media shitstorm. And like I said, it highlights the best parts of Brian Michael Bendis' run, the snappy, lengthy, but enthralling dialogue. The perfect showcase of the various contradictions and hypocrisies in the character Matt Murdock, how he's a dude who's always trying to do the good thing, sometimes for wrong reasons or vice versa. It also showcases some of the ungrateful realities of being a superhero in the Marvel Universe. It's 3 issues long, but it is an enthralling little storyline, and it is one I find myself revisiting the absolute most out of this entire run. If you're someone like me who's watched the recent Daredevil Season 3 and you just need something really damn good Daredevil related to quench that thirst, Brian Michael Bendis' entire run is absolutely the thing you should read to do exactly that. But if you're short on time and you don't want to read multiple years of Brian Michael Bendis comics, then I would heartily recommend that you check out Trial of the Century. So yeah, Brian Michael Bendis' run, Trial of the Century, the whole shebang, it is awesome. Read it, buy it, do whatever you want with it. Just absolutely give yourself a chance to experience this great bit of Marvel Comics storytelling.